Cody Benders. I'm the team lead for the Student Support Center at the School of Continuing Education, and I am going to walk you through the process of applying to the English as an Additional Language program. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go to the English as an Additional Language program page, and you can get there by simply going to macewan.ca/EAL. Print enter or hit enter, you'll be taken to the EAL page, and once you're there, you'll see all the information about the program, including requirements. So if you're concerned about whether or not you have the requirements to actually be successful in your application, you can view the requirements here. And any other questions you might have about dates and deadlines for applications, or how to log in or track your application can also be found here. But for the purposes of today's video, I'm going to show you how to apply. So once you're here, you just find the Apply Now button at the bottom of the page and hit select. So you'll get a pop-up here, and there's going to be a sign-in page and a register option. So if you've previously been a student or even previously applied to MacEwan University, you're going to have a MacEwan username, and typically that's your last name with your first initial. So if that's the case, then you can enter that information here, or your email address and your password. Now if you've forgotten your password, you can contact our tech support desk at 780-497-4357 or 780-497-HELP, and they'll be able to reset your password for you as long as you remember your MacEwan username. Now if you're a brand new student, which most of you are, or a brand new applicant, you can hit the register button. So once you hit register, you'll be asked to enter some personal information here. So you'll first be asked for your email address. So you just type that in. And then you'll be asked to confirm your email address, and you're going to want to use your personal email address, whether that's Gmail or whatever you use. So you'll enter that here, and then you can make up a password. So make sure it's something that you will remember, because you're going to need this later. And you'll be asked to confirm that password. And if any part of your password doesn't match when you're confirming your password, you'll get a little error message that lets you know you need to retype it. So once you've done that, you enter your personal information. So you enter your first name. We'll ask you for a middle name, so if you have a middle name, you can enter it here. You also don't have to if you don't want to. This field is optional, unlike the first name and the last name. And if you have a former last name, you know, you're married and you have a maiden name, you can enter that here. If you don't, you can leave it blank, or if you don't want to enter that information, you don't have to. You can leave that blank. So then you enter your phone number. And date of birth, and you can use the calendar lookup to enter it, or you can use the year, month, day. So just type it in, and then you'll be asked your gender, and the options are female, male, or gender minority. And then the next field, which again is an optional field, so you don't have to enter this information, is your Alberta student number, or your ASN. So if you've ever been a student in Alberta, you'll have an ASN, and you can enter it here. If you're like most people, you probably won't know what your ASN is offhand. So if you need to look it up, you can select this link, and it will take you to the Alberta student number lookup site. But again, it's an optional field, so you don't have to enter that information. So once you've entered everything on this page and everything looks good, you select Next. and you'll be asked for your address. So you can enter your address information here. Once you've entered that address, the rest of the fields should pre-populate with the city, province, country. But if any of this information is wrong, you can also enter these things manually on your own if you'd like. And then you scroll down and there's a privacy statement that we add here that just lets you know any information you enter here will remain private and won't be published anywhere or shared outside of MacEwan. So once you've entered that information, you hit register and you'll be taken to the application page. So we'll just give it a second. And we're now on the application page. So the first thing we do once we're here is select the term we want to apply to. So for English as an additional language, we offer applications in 3 different terms or intakes. We have a winter term, which starts in January, a spring-summer term, which starts in May, or a fall term, which starts in September. So I'll select the winter term, and then once you select a term, you'll get a pop-up here, which asks you to indicate which program you're applying to. So again, in this case, we're applying to English as an additional language, so we'll select Next. Now you'll be taken to a couple pages which ask you to upload information. So you're probably going to want to have this information saved somewhere on your desktop before you apply. So if you're an international applicant, we ask that you upload color copies of your high school transcripts and to include both sides of the transcript. So you're going to want to contact the school you would have attended, and they'll be able to email you transcripts, in which case you save them to your desktop and you select this option, which is browse, find your transcripts and upload them. And it will take a second. And once you see this path here, you'll know that those documents are actually uploaded. If you want, you can indicate where you went to high school in this optional attachment comment box, but you do not have to enter anything there because it's optional. Now, if you're a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident, you can indicate if you've completed any portion of your high school outside of Canada, and you can do so by selecting this option. Now, you can either select this option to provide a written answer or this. So if you have your transcripts, you're going to want to select Upload an Attachment. If you don't, but you want to let us know that you've taken education outside of Canada, then you provide a written answer here and tell us where you went to school. So once you've uploaded everything or entered a comment, you can go Next, and you'll be asked to provide proof of English language proficiency. So we'll accept IELTS or TOEFL scores or CLB scores, and same process. You just select Browse, make sure those scores are saved on your desktop somewhere, then Open. And again, it'll take a second, but once you see this path, you'll know that those are updated, and you'll be able to take a look at those documents if you want to review them later on in the application process. So you can also leave a comment here if you want, but again, it's optional. So I'll just say CLB scores from October 2020. Once you've done that, then you select Next, and you're done uploading, but you still have a few more questions to answer. So the first one will be citizenship. So you indicate which country you're a citizen of. It defaults to Canada, but if you're from another country, you can select from a drop-down list, and it's in alphabetical order. So you can scroll down and find it, but I'll select Canada. You can also declare your Aboriginal ancestry if you'd like, but this section is an optional section as well, so you don't have to enter that. And then you select Next. And then you select your primary language. So your primary language isn't your first language necessarily. It's the language which you're most proficient in. So what language you speak most of the time and use on a daily basis. So for me, that's English. But again, there's also a drop-down list of all the different languages you can select. And then you hit next. And at any point, if you're worried about whether or not you have to enter this information or not, if you don't put anything in here, you'll know it's a required field by selecting next, and you don't go anywhere. You'll get a little error message that says you must select something. So I'll select English. I'll go next. And then I'll be asked to provide some emergency contact information. This is an optional field, so you can enter information here if you want. So we'll enter something here. Now, what emergency contact information is, if there's ever an accident or MacEwan University needs to contact somebody on your behalf, this information will be stored and we'll know who to contact. But like I said, optional, so you don't have to fill it in if you don't want to. But you'll want to include phone number, as well as where they reside and country. And then you select next. And then you'll be asked for third-party authorization. So this is two parts. If you're an international student and you're submitting your application through an authorized agent, you can indicate who that agent is here by selecting yes. And you'll see a drop-down list of all the different authorized agents. You select your agent here. If you don't have an agent, you can of course select no, and that's fine. And then you'll also be asked about third-party authorization for your application. So if you would like anyone to be able to see the status of your application or inquire about the status of your application, you can indicate here by selecting yes, and again enter the information here. And this is another privacy feature. So if somebody wants to contact us at the School of Continuing Education and ask about your application, we'll always check first to see if you've completed this information and they're listed as somebody who's authorized to view any information about your application. And as long as this information matches up, we'll provide that information. But if you don't have anyone listed here because you've selected no, then we will not provide any information about your application to anyone. Now, if you do fill out any information here, you have to select this button, which says, I authorize the named third party to represent me in all matters regarding my application. And you select next. And you'll be asked to review all the information that you've entered so far. So your name, your emergency contact, application information, your program, which term you've applied to. Again, what I mentioned earlier, if you've uploaded your transcripts and your CLB scores or your English language proficiency documents, you can view those here just to make sure that you've entered the right information. And there's another privacy statement. And then lastly, you'll be asked to agree to the Declaration of Truthfulness. And all this is a statement that says everything you've entered on the application so far is true to your knowledge. So you select agree and then next. And then lastly, you'll be asked to pay for the application fee. So you can pay either by Interac online or by credit card. So I'll select credit card. Oh, and there's an error. Let's see if I can refresh. But normally you'd be taken to the page where you can enter your credit card information. Once you do that, you'll be able to submit that information and you'll get a receipt on your screen that you can download or save. And then once that's completed, the application process for you is done. You'll get a letter later on the next day, which sends you your MacEwan credentials, which includes login information and shows you how to log into the portal and view the status of your application. And the application will go to our admissions coordinator, who will review the questions that you answered on the application, and contact you if we need any further information, if the documents aren't sufficient or we need updated versions or anything like that. Otherwise, you can view the status of your application online, and if you're admitted, you'll get another letter as soon as that happens, telling you about the next steps and who to contact in order to enroll. So I hope you found this information helpful. And if you need anything, you can always contact us by either emailing us at EAL@macewan.ca or SCE@macewan.ca, or you can reach us by phone at 780-497-4400. So I hope you found this helpful, and we'll talk to you later.